Welcome, everyone, to the Most Accurate Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Niles. With me is my phenomenal co-host, Jen Akins. Jen, how's it going, buddy?
We are full twins. Down to it. Look at our little mic things.
We got the same color.
Okay, this is super weird. For those of you that are not watching and listening, we are literally both wearing black shirts, same color glasses, and we have the same cord color, which is not a normal. It's like a turquoisey.
It's color. Weird. These are actually my backup headphones because I couldn't find my usual ones.
Right. No. I wonder if they're the same. Oh, no. Yeah. Anyway, that's hilarious. We are full twins.
This is what happens when you work together as long as we have, Jen. This is what happens.
True.
You just kind of mold into each other. That's
our eyes. I wonder if our prescription. Well, mine are just readers, so they're probably not the same. But no, I'm doing well. I can't say. I'm a little tired, man. It's been a long off season. I am absolutely ready for legit football. Yeah, not only to watch from a watching perspective, but just from our perspective. Like I'm done with the word ADP. I am done. I'm ready to move to matchups and things that are tangible as opposed to the speculation. But can't complain. It's a little cooler here, which
nice.
I complain on a weekly basis on this podcast how ridiculously hot I am. But we're in the 70s here today in Denver, so can never complain about that. What's going on with you? How are you?
I'm doing good. Tomorrow, I just want a quick little plug. I'm going to be tracking all the roster cuts all day. I've got an article up on the website right now tracking the 2023 roster cuts. I'll just kind of, anyone that's fantasy relevant or kind of fantasy relevant or their release makes someone else fantasy relevant, I'll probably post on up there. And I'll keep it updated for the next couple days, including some waiver wire ads with some other teams. I'm also going to continue updating the return specialist articles. This is a busy week for me because returners come and go this week. They get cut and then they get picked up elsewhere. And then after week one, it all gets blown out of the water anyway. But I'm doing well. It's also nice and cool here. So I went for a nice long walk and I didn't have to change every article of clothing I'm wearing. So that was always a plus. Today we are going to address some hot takes. And I just want to say this. I appreciate all the people on Twitter and the staff and the people on Discord and everybody that sent us hot takes, their hottest takes going into the season. Anyone in the chat that wants to give us hot takes, feel free. It's nice to see we've got a couple awesome people. Hi, Samson. Hi, Zachary. Nice to see you both in the chat. I just want to say this is in good fun. So we're gonna use some hyperbolic words and we're gonna poke fun and we're gonna agree with some stuff. But it's all in good fun. We all appreciate all of you. And hot takes are the funnest stuff around. So even if we disagree with your take, you go get your hot takes. Enjoy your hot takes. Go get your player, flag plant, and then at me next year when I'm wrong and you're right. I just wanted to preface it by that. Before we get into that, I do want to do our better in best ball segment because we're wrapping up those underdog tournament drafts. I know I'm still drafting right now. I know I've seen you out there drafting, Jen. One thing I want to say, we had a staff member, Pranav, our friend Pranav, had a hot take, said that Zeke Elliott would lead the league in touchdowns and is a top 12 option. So I thought this was a good one to start with since it's I think Zeke is better in best ball personally. I'm not going to Jamal Williams him and think about him as a Jamal Williams redraft option. What are you thinking, Jen?
I am not going to mental gymnastic myself with Zeke Elliott this season and have to look at him on my roster and decide to put him in or not. It's not going to happen. Honestly, I'm not even really taking him in best ball. I don't know. I just don't know how much he has left. I don't really know. That offense is so weird anyway that I'm not sure that I'm going to invest in him regardless of what his ADP. I'm not sure where it's landing right now. I'm sure it's probably gone up since he signed with the Patriots, but I think that I'm out. But yes, better in best ball if I had to pick.
It's he's going up a little bit. He's still available in double-digit rounds. I'll sprinkle him in best ball just because the Patriots are crazy in running back situations. I did a little digging. So New England was 17th in the league in points scored last year. Detroit was 5th in points scored. So Jamal Williams for Detroit led the league in rushing touchdowns with 17. Yep. Austin Eckler led the league in total touchdowns with 18. But rushing touchdowns was Jamal Williams. That's a bit of a leap for New England to go up. I'm just worried New England won't score enough points for Zeke to do that.
I don't know. I mean, I just don't see him getting near that, high teen touchdowns. I don't. I mean, there's only 17 games. I mean, you're looking at, how many touchdowns are the Patriots going to score per game? Like a few at the. I mean, I don't know what their implied team total, the average is for the season. We could probably look that up, but I'm sure they're probably not projected to score too much. So
yeah. That said, I don't mind him in best ball if he's your 5th or 6th running back. Similarly, Dalvin Cook is another guy signed with the Jets. I think he's going to have some value in some weeks and no value in other weeks. So best ball, double-digit round, sure. How are you approaching Cook?
I think Dalvin Cook is in a situation, I think, that he's going to do a little bit better from the get. And I don't know about, touchdown-wise, but Breece Hall, I feel like he is going to be a little kid glovey, right? He's coming back from injury, and I don't know that he's going to be that great to start the season. So I think Dalvin might start off okay, and then once Breece Hall comes on, Dalvin might take a step back a little bit in volume and production. So once again, that's better in best ball, right? I mean, you're hoping that he gets a few good spike weeks off the front and then doesn't do anything. But at a double-digit round, that's fine.
No, that's my I agree with you completely. So those guys both better in best ball. And to our good friend Pranav, I have 2 rankings. I'm going to first off, we're going to do the hot meter, right? Because some takes are hotter than others. So I've got a 5-level hot meter, 1 through 5. I've got ice cold, tepid water, spicy, scorching hot, and flamethrower. That's what I've got for the hottest takes, right? And then we're going to determine it as an I hear you. Like, we got that, or settle down. And so, Pranav, we love you. I'm going to give that a flamethrower take. I think it's a flamethrower hot take that Zeke Elliott will lead the league in rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, that's as flamethrower as you get, honestly.
Yeah. And I'm gonna give you a hardcore settle down.
What was that? Was there some sort of
spicy? Spicy. Oh, Sal's got a spicy.
Look at Sal.
A spicy sound. I like it. Yeah, we're
gonna
get a hardcore.
I was like, are you hearing that or is it just me? Yes, I'm with you. Settle down.
Yeah, hardcore settle down. So thank you very much, Pranav. So let's move forward with some more of these hot takes. There is one, our friend Mr. Scampers put out there, says David Montgomery outscores Jahmyr Gibbs in fantasy this year. I like this one, Mr. Scampers. This is exciting. It's also very similar. I'm going to loop this in with one that we got on YouTube. Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't finish as a top 12 running back. That was brought to us by @SeanG978 on YouTube. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Mr. Scampers. I'm going to start by rating that since he's ranked as the number 9 right now. He's ranked as I know. I love it. We've got fire in the corner. I'm going to rank it as scorching hot. Now, 4 out of 5, scorching hot. What do you think?
I'm going to go with a 3 there because I think it depends. Well, I think it depends. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to remember the term.
Oh, no, I'll just keep saying it.
You help me. I am going to give that it depends on scoring format, right? I think if you're talking like a standard, I can see that happening. Mm-hmm. A PPR, I don't know that Montgomery outscores Gibbs. I don't. But I think in standard, if he gets a lot of that goal line, Jamal Williams that we were just talking about, if he gets that work from last year, then I could see Montgomery outscoring him. So I give it a 3, and I think I don't hate it, Scampers. I'm there, but in PPR, I give it a settle down.
Mm-hmm. All right. I
don't know if that's allowed, but that's what I'm doing.
You can do that. I think that's fair. Mr. Scamp, I'm just gonna say I hear you because Jahmyr Gibbs is a rookie, and I like him, and I'm excited. I think RB9 is kind of ridiculous. So I'm excited about the Detroit offense, but DeAndre Swift, RB21 in points per game last year. I know he was hurt, and I know he was kind of used sporadically, but they really wanted to give the ball to Jamal Williams in the red zone. I think that's going to continue with David Montgomery. They paid him to come and do that job. Dan Campbell's a little old school, so I don't think that's crazy. I'm kind of slowly buying a little David Montgomery and letting other people take Jahmyr Gibbs at ADP. I kind of liked Gibbs when he was a 4th, 5th rounder. He's kind of inched up, and I don't like him in the 3rd.
Yeah, Brandon and I were talking last night. We both had home leagues yesterday, and I actually was targeting him in my home league because I was in the 12 spot, and I started out, I double tapped wide receiver, and I was like, ooh, I'm going to grab him at like 4-1. And he went like mid-3rd. I was like, all right, well, I'm not, that's pricey for Gibbs.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking even I may, at 4-1, it might be a little early, but I mean, at this point, yeah, he's climbing.
So we're gonna determine this as spicy, and I hear you. Although Jen, I definitely hear you in a standard list format. All right, so I like that. Just wanted to point out real quick: if you go to 4for4.com/plans and use promo code YouTube, you save 25% off on a subscription, any subscription at 4for4 Fantasy Football. Go and check that out. That's 4for4.com. So. We've got Bouncing Muffin in the chat. Hello, thank you for joining us. Wants to say that
That's
Drake
a fantastic
London,
name.
It's a good name. Drake London will finish as a wide receiver 1 this year. So top 12 receiver for Drake London with the Atlanta Falcons. That Atlanta Falcons offense is going to be interesting to watch. First off, how spicy do you rate that, Jen?
I think that's kind of, I don't want to say tepid. What's the one in between?
You go from tepid water to spicy.
I'll go spicy. I mean, it's not like, I mean, I think he's being drafted right now at what, like wide receiver 18, 20, something like that. He's in that range. So I don't think it's that crazy. I mean, it just needs, a couple people to get hurt, which will happen. And then, I don't think it's that. So, I'm going tepid. I'm going 2.
I kind of agree with you. Tepid water makes sense to me. No offense, bouncing muffin. I do like Drake London. I think you're fine. And I'm going to say I hear you. I think it's a reasonable take. Yeah.
No, I do too. I like Drake London. I've been drafting him all over the place. So it's not like I'm knocking the actual take, because I think I guess my point is I think it can happen.
Yeah. So we're between tepid water and spicy. Maybe I should do that like 2.5, where it's like it's tepid water, but you've turned the burner on. It's just not hot yet. Yeah, that's where we'll go with that. All right. So let's go to our next hot take that was sent into us. This is from at Blessed Bet It at 665 on YouTube. Ja'Marr Chase will break Cooper Kupp's record for most wide receiver fantasy points in a season. Cooper Kupp set that record in 2021. He had the Triple Crown, phenomenal season, breaking the record. So, Jen, I call that a flamethrower. What do you think?
I go 4, whatever that is.
Scorching hot. All right.
I think it's scorching-ish, but I also don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibilities. So,
okay. All right.
I mean, Kupp really,
Kupp had 367 half PPR points in 2021. Ja'Marr Chase averaged 16.6 last year, which is more than he did as a rookie, right?
Right.
He would need 20.44 and to play all season to break that record. So that's to average 4 more fantasy points per game and play all season.
And likely a healthy Joe Burrow, right? So that's also a thing. It's tough because Chase clearly has more target competition, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Kupp is really, you're looking at Tutu Atwell and Van Jefferson and Higbee, right? So everyone's your favorite Higbee. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's spicy. I don't think it's completely crazy to the point that it would never happen. But if it were me and I was a betting person, which I am, I would probably not take that bet.
Yeah. So I would call it a flamethrower take, because breaking a record, an all-time record, is always a flamethrower take.
Right.
Me, right.
Sure.
And I'm going to say settle down. Like, we love Ja'Marr Chase, but like you said, it's target share. Like there's a lot of mouths to feed in Cincinnati. Will Terrell came and joined us. Hi, Will. Asks if Burrow doesn't play the first week, can Chase still do it? That's a big question. If Burrow misses any time, then I think that blows it completely out of the water. A lot of things, kind of everything has to go right to win that Triple Crown, and to break a fantasy record. And I just don't see it. I think he's going to have a great season. Could finish as the wide receiver 1 this year. But as far as all-time break record, I'm gonna give you a very nice and friendly settle down.
I think we also have to point out that team and that offense is kind of a slow burn, right? They don't come out of the gate hot, and in order to break a record like that, you kind of have to. And this offense, at least the recent historically with Burrow, they don't come out hot. They kind of come on later. So so it could happen, but settle down.
So but points for how hot that take is, though. All right.
Sure.
So this is one from our producer Sal. I'm gonna move on to. I'm gonna say Sam Howell finishes the season as a top 5 fantasy quarterback. That's Sal's take. Thank you very much, Sal, for this take. Sam Howell. The love has gone completely off the rails, Jen. I love Sam Howell, top 5 quarterback.
No, that is scorching and that is settle down. We don't even, I mean, I like Sam Howell as much as the next person, probably a little more than the next person. The rushing upside is there. He has the weapons. Of course, Terry now has turf toe, which can be linger and can be an issue. But he does have weaponry. But I cannot see him cracking the top 5. I don't even see him cracking the top 10. I'm not going to lie. I mean, he may sneak in and have a few quarterback 1 weeks per se in the fantasy realm. But at the end of the year, when we're talking either total points or fantasy points per game, top 5, no.
Sal just added, I almost said QB1 overall.
Of course he did. Listen, it's Sal. I mean,
Sal.
I'm surprised he didn't write Alex Smith will return and somehow become a top 5 quarterback. I mean, we know it's Sal and we know the situation. But listen, I'm excited for Sam Howell. I drafted him in Scott Fishbowl and I've taken him in best ball. The home league that I was in last night, I really I wanted to squeeze him in and I couldn't do it. And he's still on the waiver wire and part of me wants to go back but I'm I'm not going to carry an extra one just to have him so no one gets him later. But I drafted Justin Herbert. I can't, there's no need for Sam Howell.
There's a lot of Sam Howell on this. We've got a few on here and, top 12, I think I can buy. He sneaks in there. Top 5, I'm gonna give a very friendly settle down. Spicy. William Stevenson added, Jahan Dotson finishes as a top 10 wide receiver. I think Terry McLaurin needs to miss a lot of time for that. What do you think?
Yeah. No, yeah. I liked Jahan Dotson, and I'm actually bummed at how high his ADP has become. I'm glad I drafted him a lot this summer before he's gotten to where he is now, because he has been he's now, he's a single-digit guy now, which is insane. And he came on great last year, and so I'm excited for him. And like you said, I think Terry is going to have to miss some time with that turf toe, because I think if they're both healthy, I just don't know that either of them finishes a top 10, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that that same I've got the water started, but it's not quite boiling yet.
2.5.
Yep. And I'm gonna say, kind of settle down. But I hear you. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So let's see. I've got a couple more in the chat, and then we'll get back to stuff that we've got.
When are we gonna do ours, by the way?
We'll do ours
later. Okay.
Yeah, it'll work.
Yeah.
Anthony and Will have conflicting CJ Stroud comments that they brought to the chat. Anthony says CJ Stroud wins Rookie of the Year. Will says CJ Stroud won't even finish the year as a starter, and I'm assuming that Will doesn't mean that he gets hurt. I'm assuming Will means he gets benched. I love the takes, appreciate the takes. I'm going to say Will's take is kind of scorching hot, because I think that CJ Stroud, I think they're going to, even if they go 2-15, I think they're going to kind of roll with him and let him take his punches.
Yeah. What are they going to do? Put Davis Mills in there? What's the point? I'm down with that.
And then Anthony, CJ Stroud wins Rookie of the Year. He might. I would probably. Bijan Robinson's going to be a tough one to beat.
Yeah, and there's a couple wide receivers that could sneak in there depending on what happens. So I'm going to go with a definite settle down on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to give that one scorching hot, and I'm going to say settle down.
Agree. We are concur there.
All right, so we've got another one here. This one is another one I'm going to call scorching hot. Kyle Pitts will be the tight end 1. That's from our friend Chris Gee. Kyle Pitts, tight end 1. So above Travis Kelce, above all those individuals. Just want to quickly say he was 20th in fantasy points per game last year, 12th in 2021 in fantasy points per game. I'm going to call that a flamethrower take because of the elite tight ends they're putting in front of him. And I'm gonna say without hesitation, settle down, Chris.
Our Lord and Savior Kyle Pitts is here to finish as tight end 1. Yeah, you know how I feel about Kyle Pitts. I think that hopefully he has a better season. He's still kind of hurt. He's not in full gear yet and not fully out there. So I don't know. I just don't trust Arthur Smith. I just don't trust the whole situation. And I think the Falcons do take a leap this year. I'm not opposed to the Falcons. We just talked about Drake London. I think there's going to be production on that offense. I just don't see Kyle Pitts leapfrogging Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce, really, in any way. I don't know.
Com-
I say top 5, and that to me, that's even a hot take because I'm not drafting him there. So, but
I did a double take. I had to make sure it didn't say top 5.
Right.
Because I was like, oh, that would be.
Yes, he will just wrote 2 words Arthur Smith, which is what I just said. So, yeah, same.
William Stevenson has the same one that we got from Discord from Greg Sylvander. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, William. DeVonta Smith finishes ahead of A.J. Brown in fantasy points this year. I made that prediction last year, and it was wrong, but it wasn't that wrong. It was he was the wide receiver 9. A.J. Brown was the wide receiver 5. I'm going to give it a spicy take, a 3 out of 5, and I'm going to say I hear you. I hear you on that one. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. Sure. I don't know. I mean, I think that offense is going to be good again, right? They still have a good O-line. They still have a good everything. They're going to be good again. And I think that's, I give it like a tepid because I think it can happen.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, I'm down with it if it does. I like them both.
And I will say this. I think that if at the end of the year you take out DeVonta Smith's top 3 games and A.J. Brown's top 3 games, DeVonta Smith will end up higher. I think A.J. Brown just has those explosive games.
Right. Right.
So, let's hear. This one is from Frank_Farquad on Twitter. Says Sam Howell finishes as a top 10 quarterback, which we discussed, but also says we begin to ask if Patrick Mahomes is a system quarterback, which I'm going to say, Frank, thank you for playing. Appreciate your comment. I'm going to say settle down. Mahomes, I think, even though Andy Reid, and there's always that chicken before the egg quarterback and coach conversation in general, but I think Mahomes, I don't know what else he has to prove. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, if you're just looking at stats and scoreboard and whatnot, then you could say, okay, maybe whatever. But if you actually watch the guy play, you can't say that. I mean, he makes ridiculous plays with his legs, with his arms, whatever. And that's not a system situation. That's athleticism, and that's him. So, that's a settle down, and that's whatever. 5, 6. Yeah.
All right, so let's do 2 that aren't fantasy related real quick. We got 2. We'll zip through those real quick. Yeah, just
real football. Quick. We're gonna talk real football.
Just real quick. Our friend at Jay Lizard on YouTube said Jacoby Brissett gets sent back to Indianapolis in a trade for Jonathan Taylor. So there's a couple things there. I'm gonna call that scorching hot because I just don't think Indianapolis is in the market for a quarterback right now. And
they shouldn't be.
And also Jonathan Taylor, I don't know that Washington's in the market for a running back right now. So
yeah, they have 2 good ones that they like. And I don't know that they have Sam Howell, who's had 1 start. Why would you get rid of a good veteran in that locker room and as a backup? Listen, we all see the way the quarterbacks get hurt and what happens. You have to have a decent backup. Why would they get rid of Jacoby Brissett, who's a very serviceable backup to someone that's unproven? We talked about Sam Howell. We're all excited about Sam Howell, but the truth of the matter is he's played 1 game, and he's had a decent preseason as well, but he played 1 game last year. So I don't see that. It doesn't make sense for either team.
I don't know that Indianapolis wants to carry 3 quarterbacks into the season. So that's kind of my thought is even if Washington was interested, which I don't think they are, Indianapolis, I think they're happy with Gardner Minshew as the backup. Yeah. And they're certainly not. They've already stated Anthony Richardson as the starter. So I'm there. The other non-fantasy
hold on. Sal gave us a settle down from his own over there. You don't need a backup QB when Sam Howell's never going to get benched or hurt. Settle down. Okay.
Thank you, Sal. Appreciate that. William Stevenson also says that fantasy takes are far superior to real NFL takes. That's a hot take as well. Thank you for that, William. This is one, we actually got this earlier in the chat as well. The New York Jets will finish as a top 6 team this year. I took that to mean top 6 in the league by record. That's what that's how I took that.
Yeah, so, I think I saw that in the chat. Someone said top 5.
Yeah.
When it started. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was our friend
was Zachary
Zach.
Murdoch. What we got it from Space Ghost Force on Discord as well. Top 6. So that's what we ended up with.
That's Zach. Same dude, Brandon.
That's Zach. Oh, so Zach is even more bullish now than he was when he sent in on the Discord. Thank you very much, Zach.
He's going in.
That. I'm gonna say I think that's a tepid water take because the top 6 last year, top 7 all had 12 wins. I think with Aaron Rodgers and all the offensive weapons, I mean, it's a tough division. I wouldn't bet on them winning, but I think it's reasonable. So I hear you.
Let me see real quick. I want to look at the.
They do have 2 games against the Bills, 2 games against the
Yeah,
Dolphins.
I'm looking at our NFL betting tool that we have at 444, which is awesome. It's got every spread, everything for the whole season laid out, color coded. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Let me see real quick. So the Jets, they're projected to win 11 games. So, like you said, that kind of puts them. All they have to do is win 1 or 2 more, and they're there.
Puts them right in there. So yeah, very. I hear you. I hear you on that, Zach. So I'm with you there.
I hope it doesn't happen, though. I mean, Brandon, as Dolphin fans, like, how do you?
I'm a Dolphins fan. I'm not.
Yeah,
rooting.
I mean, for me, I cannot root for the Jets in any way, shape, or form ever. However, I take the Dolphin hat off and the analyst on. I can see it happening. Sure.
Yeah. All right. KDA221 on Discord sent us Brock Purdy finishes as the QB6 with Aiyuk and Debo not even cracking the wide receiver 25. So,
so
I'm going to call it spicy, a 3 out of 5, because the Brock is less spicy and the Debo and the Aiyuk are very spicy to me.
I mean, so what? He's throwing a Kittle all season, and that's where he's getting his points, or he's rushing. I don't know. That's interesting.
I think the idea is he's spreading it around a ton, and Christian McCaffrey is getting.
Oh yeah, him. Yeah.
So I think that's the idea behind it. I will say Debo was wide receiver 26 last year in points per game. Aiyuk was wide receiver 15 overall. It's hard to imagine Aiyuk doing worse with Brock Purdy all season, unless Yosemite Darnold takes over at some point due to injury. But Purdy was the QB8 over the 6 weeks that he was the starter. So like QB6, that seems very. I'm going to give you I hear you on Brock Purdy and a settle down on Aiyuk and Debo. What do you think?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, okay. And I think it's spicy. I think that's a spicy take.
I'll give it a 3. Spicy.
All right. Swan on Discord says Travis Kelce will not finish as the tight end 1. So what do you think of that one, Jen?
I think that's a I don't know. I give it like a tepid because I feel like tight end is so. I mean, yes, the one consistent is Travis Kelce, and then everything else is so just. I'm drawing a blank on a word I'm trying to think of, but anyway, I feel like it fluctuates, right? Tight end is, but I mean. Kelce is the most consistent, but then again, like you just never know. But then again, I'm sitting here talking to myself back and forth. Their receiving core, it's the same deal that we have every year. There's no, like, even in the preseason, I write the preseason recaps and I'm looking at the snap count and I'm like, Mahomes spread it. And even, their backups, there's no clear there's not even a wide receiver 1 there right now. It's just a bunch of guys. So Kelce is kind of their wide receiver 1. I think the only way I'm going to back all the way up. I think the only way he doesn't finish as tight end 1 is if he gets hurt. So I think that's completely spicy and settle down.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just babbled for 5 minutes to get myself there, but that's my take.
So Kelce was the tight end 2 years ago. He's been the tight end 1 more often than not over the past 5, 6, 7 years. I'm going to call it a little spicy because, Travis Kelce's incredible, but it's also a little tepid because you're saying won't be the tight end 1. So there's a lot of range of possibilities there. So I'm going to say I hear you and also settle down. Like Travis Kelce should definitely still be the first drafted tight end. I mean, he really is the only like clear and option there, clear and consistent option. Yeah. They're going to rotate. All those guys are going to get a couple targets a game or whatever it is. And Kelce's going to be the first read if they're passing every time. That's how it's going to be. Unless he gets hurt. And that's, of course, all bets are off here if people get hurt. But if he's healthy for the whole time, I mean, the only person I feel like that will have the volume is possibly Andrews. And he may not even this year with, Zay Flowers there. And if a healthy Bateman, I just don't know that. Last year Andrews did get hurt, but he had, he was the guy. This year there's more options. So it's true. And even Kelce, Hockenson has Justin Jefferson to contend. Yeah, and Addison and Hockenson is I don't think he's in contention for that. I think it's those two or nobody. And I'm with you. So settle down.
Settle. Yeah.
All right. So William Stevenson, Miles Sanders finishes the season with more receiving yards than DeAndre Swift. I'm going to call that tepid water because DeAndre Swift is kind of and I'll say I hear you. I think that makes sense. Swift just doesn't stay healthy, and there's a bunch of guys there. So I don't.
Yeah, I think Gainwell will kind of. I mean, if you want a spice, maybe Gainwell has more than.
Gainwell leads the Eagles in fantasy points at the running back.
I would love that because I just drafted him last night in my home league. So
that'd be a little bit spicy.
I'd be okay with that.
All right, let's go to let's see here. Josh Jacobs won't be top 10 in rushing yards. That's from Water Story 112 on Discord. Josh Jacobs just signed that 1-year deal, kind of the same thing that Saquon Barkley did. He was number 1 last year. So what do you think?
I think that if he's healthy, I think he's in the top 10. I don't know how he isn't. That offense, we're not really sure what's going to happen there with Jimmy Garoppolo, and I feel like he might be a nice little security blanket. Now, there's also the fear that he hasn't practiced this whole time, and he may pull a hammy on day 1 and then, be out for a bit and may not get enough volume over the course of the season to do that. But if he is healthy, I don't see him not being in that top 10. I think the volume is going to be there, and he's good.
Yeah, I think that's how I think. Like fantasy points per game, rushing yards per game. I think he's going to be top 10 regardless, right? But you're right. I mean, there is concern about the injuries. So, I hear you and settle down on that one. I hear you that he might get hurt. Settle down. He's going to produce if he's healthy.
I mean, I think that's whatever between 3 and 4 on the spice meter because I just don't think that's Yeah.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I think spicy to scorching hot. That makes sense to me.
You'd think by now we're 31 minutes in, I'd remember the things. I remember tepid and spicy. I got 2 and 3 down, but I don't remember anything else.
You just live in the middle. That's where that's how we do it. That's what works out. So I'm going to say, let's see here. TL Slep on Discord says that Michael Pittman Jr. will finish as a top 20 wide receiver.
Oh.
What do you think of this one?
Ooh. A lot of it depends on what Anthony Richardson. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen there. But what was he like? Where did he finish last year? Do we know? Do you have that?
I didn't. This was kind of a later question. I did not look that up. But he's going as the wide receiver 36 right now. So 20 makes it. I would call that a scorching hot take.
I wonder because I'm thinking. Okay, so last year, right? He had the corpse of Matt Ryan, and it was not good.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I'm curious where he finished with that because I feel like Richardson has to, even if he doesn't take super quick and I feel like he at least has to be better than what Matt Ryan gave us.
The other thing, and the Cam Newton comparison, right? The Cam Newton comparison is lazy because they're both big running quarterbacks, right? But one thing that Cam Newton did that Anthony Richardson also does is float balls, right? The ball sails high on them. So Michael Pittman's huge. And that's something that,
Oh, yeah. And the talent is absolutely there.
So I feel like, because like Kelvin Benjamin put up 1,000 yards with Cam Newton. And I feel like I can talk myself into the idea that Michael Pittman is exactly the kind of receiver that's going to be phenomenal with Anthony Richardson because of that wide catch radius. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I just looked it up. So Michael Pittman was wide receiver 30 in half PPR points per game last year. And then he was wide receiver 23 overall, though, in half PPR points. So you'd think that there has to be some sort of improvement there with Anthony Richardson. Or if it ends up being Gardner Minshew, then, I feel like that's a step in the right direction from what we had last year. So, yeah.
No, I'm with it. So I'm going to give it a scorching hot, and I'm going to say I hear you. I hear you on that one. So, let's see here. I'm going to say at Zare805 on YouTube says Luke Musgrave finishes top 7 among tight ends while receiving a 20% plus target rate.
God, that's so weird. I was just talking about him before we came on air.
So I will say Cole Kmet was the tight end 7 last year. So I do think that Luke Musgrave could do as well as Cole Kmet did last year. I will also say Green Bay tight ends collectively saw 17% of targets last year on that team. So Musgrave would need about 113 targets based off of last year's 563 pass attempts. That I think is harder to see. I think it's a little harder to see Luke Musgrave doing that. I just think there's a lot of mouths to feed there. So,
Yeah.
so I'm going to say it's kind of spicy of a take. And I'm going to say settle down on the target rate. And I hear you on the tight end 7.
It's interesting, right? So actually, hold on. This was not on air, so I can't. You were roasting my take earlier, and you were telling me there's no difference between tight end whatever and tight end whatever, right? That same thing you just said to me, but we didn't do that on air, so I can't even talk about that. I will say Luke Musgrave has a few things against him, right? He's a rookie, which is a historical, not good for fantasy purposes. And like you said, there's a bunch of mouths to feed there, and you've got a quarterback that doesn't have a ton of experience. So there's a lot of things against him to get into that top 7. But on the flip side, if there's any position that could happen, it is tight end because it's a crapshoot after the top 3. So I give it I'll give it a 3, and I'll give it I hear you a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I hear you, and I don't think he's going to have the target rate. That's where I'm at with that. All right, so let's see here. Our friend Samson, thank you for sending in on YouTube at SalmonSamson50. Thank you so much for sending in. Rhamondre Stevenson finishes as a top 3 fantasy running back.
Oh,
I'm going to call that a flamethrower take. I think that's very hot to the running back 3. He was RB11 last year. Now they have Zeke there. So I think it's a really, really hot take. How viable do you think it is?
Spicy.
That is spicy. I will say from a personal standpoint, I hate to bring it back to me always, but I just drafted him last night in my home league. So I would love for that to happen. There's a lot of things that need to happen there. I mean, it's the Patriots backfield. Do they produce a top 3? It's a very difficult thing to ask of Bill Belichick in that situation. He very rarely will allow somebody to have the volume to be a top 3 running back. But Rhamondre is talented enough, and if he gets that volume, I don't hate it. I mean, I would like to go more like top 7 than top 3 if I had to go with a take there. But yeah, I think it's very spicy, and I give it a settle down. But I'd love for it to happen.
Yeah, I can tell myself a story where that happens, but it's that Bill Belichick factor, man. I just can't. I think he's worth drafting at ADP.
This is the year he'll, you know.
I think he's worth drafting at ADP. I like him. He's fine. I think he's going to catch passes, which is nice. I think Zeke's going to steal enough touchdowns to keep him, and the Patriots are going to stall enough on offense to keep him from that top 3 territory where we expect to see, the Saquon Barkleys.
Unless he busts out a bunch of unless he busts out a bunch of huge runs, right?
Yeah, which he might. He was pretty explosive last year and runs like a tank. So yeah, I'm going to say it's a flamethrower take, and I'm going to say settle down, but I get where it's coming from. Just settle down. All right. So Jeff Snook, 1152 on YouTube. Jaylen Warren usurps Najee Harris by week 3 and finishes as a borderline RB1 and then as a second-round draft pick next year. I'm
going to let you take that, Brandon. That's all you.
I feel like it's a personal attack.
Yes. I'm going to sit back here and let you talk.
So I like Jaylen Warren, right? But we need to talk about efficiency a little bit, right? When you're getting the touches that Jaylen Warren gets, you're getting them on passing downs, and you're getting them in situations where they're change of pace, they're complementary touches. They look different. If you give Jaylen Warren 20 touches a game, he's not going to carry over the same efficiency. It's just not going to happen. We're going to see this with Tony Pollard this year, right? I like Tony Pollard. He's going to be very good, but to expect him to average the amount of production and efficiency that he does when he's getting between the tackles Zeke Elliott carries on top of those other carries, that's a lot to ask of a running back. And very few running backs not named Jamal Charles do that. So I I get why people love Jaylen Warren, but I think they're forgetting that Najee Harris is good. Like second half of last year, Harris had 20.1 touches per game with Jaylen Warren getting 8. And Najee Harris was really good. All those efficiency problems went away after Harris got healthy. Kenny Pickett started playing like an NFL quarterback, and everything else came together. So healthy, solid offense. Najee Harris goes in right now, looks solid. I think it's going to be a 1-2 backfield with Najee Harris getting 2/3 of the touches. I don't see this. I think it's scorching hot. It's down from flamethrower just because people tend to hate Najee Harris and love Jaylen Warren, so it doesn't really shock me that this is coming out. But barring injury, I don't see Najee Harris getting benched for Jaylen Warren. I think they like the 1-2 back. Maybe it becomes more of a 60-40 split, but I'm going to call it flamethrower. I'm going to say a hearty, healthy, friendly, settle down. Jen's not. Are you going to argue with me at all on that one?
Oh no, I'm definitely not going to argue with you. I think I don't know. It's become like this thing. People just like love to hate Najee and love to love Warren. And listen, last year I drafted Warren all over the place because I thought and I feel like I think Warren's going to, be in there. He's going to keep Najee fresh. It's Najee Harris's job. He's not losing it. They like Warren. Warren is good. We're not going to say he's not good. But I don't think that he's not going to steal his job. He's not going to cause him to lose volume. They're not going to swap out. And I think he's going to be there to spell him when he needs to spell him. And I think Warren's going to have some great plays and some great stuff. But I feel like if you're drafting him thinking you're going to play him every week, I just don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Would have been a good better in best ball contestant this week. So
yeah,
let's go. Kishibe, Kishibe on Discord sends us TJ Hockenson finishes outside the top 10 tight ends. We also got a George Kittle finishes outside top 12 in tight ends from Neil Dutton, our friend Neil. So let's tackle those two together. Kittle and Hockenson outside the top 10 tight ends. Jen, how crazy do you think that is?
Outside the top 10? I mean, it could happen, right? We've talked already about tight ends and how it absolutely can happen. I just wrote about him today for my newsletter that goes out tomorrow. I don't love Hockenson at ADP. I don't love where he's being taken. So I do feel like outside the top 5, I'm 100% down with, and I really feel like that may happen. Outside the top 10, I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like he would have to get a lot less volume. Last year we had only little over a half of a year sample size, right? When he was traded, and they used him a lot. But like we said earlier, they now have Jordan Addison, and it's a different situation there now. So he may get less volume, and he would have to be much more efficient, which, isn't out of the realm of possibility. But I think I feel like he somewhere between 8 and 10, I feel like is kind of where I feel like he's going to finish. But outside the top 10, that's a maybe.
Okay.
A settle down 3, whatever.
So you're going to give it a settle down and spicy. I'm going to call it flamethrower because tight end falls off a cliff after the top 5 or so. And those two were both top 4 in both total fantasy points and fantasy points.
Oh, I didn't even address Kittle, but yeah.
Yeah, both of them were top 4, both of them, in both fantasy points per game and total fantasy points. That's with like missing time and being traded midseason. I think they're too good. They get too much volume. I think for them to fall outside the top 10 or even really the top 8, I think they need to be hurt. As long as they're healthy, I think they're going to be top. I think they're going to be top 5, but top 10 definitely. So I'm gonna say settle yourself down. Just settle down. Take a deep breath and settle down. All right, next one from Chipolopolo from Discord. Thank you for the question. DK Metcalf finishes outside the top 20 wide receivers, and Tyler Lockett repeats as a top 20 wide receiver as well. So DK Metcalf outside top 20, Tyler Lockett inside top 20.
Okay. Well,
so Metcalf's being drafted as the wide receiver 15 right now. Lockett as the wide receiver 27. That's where they're being drafted.
And then you've got Jackson Smith and Jigba is now, he has a fractured wrist. He just had surgery. They say a week one is iffy, but I mean, he will be back. But if he misses significant time, I can see them. But I don't know. Wait, so Lockett is inside of what did you say? I'm sorry.
Inside the top 20 and beats DK Metcalf, who lands outside the top 20.
Okay, so 20 is where we are. I don't know. I feel like they're both kind of wide receiver 2 territory. So I feel like they're both going to kind of be
right in there.
Yeah, that's a difficult one to really navigate because Seattle as a whole, we're just assuming the Geno, I've said this a bunch this summer, but we're assuming the Geno Smith that showed up last year out of nowhere shows up again this year out of nowhere. And what if he doesn't? Then they all take a step back because that can really happen. I mean, Geno Smith was a straight up backup that went from team to team to team for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden last year was the starting caliber receiver. I hope that he shows up again for all of our sakes because we're all drafting these guys. If he doesn't, they could be in trouble. But I feel like they're both kind of in there. I feel like they're both guys could end up. I don't think either of them will be a wide receiver 1. So I don't know if that's the part of the take. But I think around 20, I think is kind of okay for both. So I don't know where that puts me on the meter or any of that, but that's my take on it.
So it sounds like Jen determines it. I hear you, and also determines it as a tepid water take.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it ice cold. I'm gonna call it an ice cold take. So appreciate it completely. But Tyler Lockett always outscores DK Metcalf. So Metcalf was wide receiver 18 last year. So. Yeah, he could fall out the 20, out the top 20. So, appreciate that. Let's hear. How about from Brujo Especial on Discord? The Bears will win.
Brujo Especial.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I just know him because I do those Discord AMAs. So.
Oh, excellent.
Same with the last guy. Like that's why. His name sounded familiar as well.
So the Bears will win their division. This is another non-fantasy question. Bears were dead last year in that division, so I call that a flamethrower take, and I would say settle down. But what do you think, Jen?
Yeah, I don't think that much of a leap is happening. I mean, that's a tough division. I mean, even though Aaron Rodgers is gone, and it's a little different, but I just don't see. I see them actually probably finishing last again. I don't know, maybe last or second to last, but I think that's flamethrower, and I say settle down. It would be nice for the Bears to be good again, but last year was, the last couple of years have been rough. And
pretty rough.
They're going to need to pass the ball a little more than what they did last year. They were dead last. I think they threw 377. That's just off my head. I could be completely wrong, but passes for the entire season. No bueno. You got to move the chains in order to win.
I think that makes perfect sense. I like that. We're starting to come up on time. I'm going to try to breeze through a few of these. We've got like 10 more to do. I just appreciate our listeners so much. It's awesome. At Walter Brown, 9651. Brandon Aiyuk catches 95 balls this year. So that's the take. What do you think of that one, Jen?
95 balls, huh? Let's see. He
caught 78 last year.
Okay, and I'm looking right now at John Paulson in his rankings. He has actual predictions here. He has him for 64 yards. I mean, catches.
64. Okay, so that's
64 receptions, and he has them for 3 rushing attempts. But yeah, so he has them for 64, and Walter says what, 90 something?
Mm-hmm.
I think that unless McCaffrey and Samuel and Kittle go down, that's a lot. That's a lot of balls with a lot of mouths there. So I'm going to go with a 4, and I'm going to go with a settle down.
Okay. All right. I think that's fair.
What's 4 again?
4 is scorching hot.
Scorching hot, settle down. Scorching
hot take, settle down. I almost hear you because 95 seems attainable, but you're right. There's just too many mouths to feed. So I think I'm with you. 4 scorching hot and settle down. I think that's where I'm going to land. Let's see here. So let's go to another one. Greg Sylvander on Discord. We're going to combine 2 of them. Says Nick Chubb ends as the RB1 and Garrett Wilson ends top 3 wide receiver. So Chubb, number 1 running back, Garrett Wilson, top 3 wide receiver from Greg Sylvander on Discord. What say you?
Let's see, Greg. I think that's like a tepid because I think that both of those things can happen. I don't. They're not. Neither of them are too out of the scope of things of possibilities. So I give it a tepid, and I give it a I hear ya. I love Nick Chubb. I mean, I'm always a UGA homer, so I will always, go to battle for Nick Chubb. And I feel like right now, with Kareem Hunt gone, Jerome Ford is hurt. Like they may sign somebody else, they may not. Deshaun Watson hasn't been great, so I think it's going to be the Nick Chubb show. So if there's enough volume there and he stays healthy, I can absolutely see that happen. And Garrett Wilson, if him and Aaron Rodgers get hot, I can absolutely see that happening too.
Yeah, I think Garrett Wilson's going to get just a ton of targets. I just think Aaron Rodgers is going to target him a ton. And I'm with you, Nick Chubb. I will say, RB1 overall is pretty bold. I'll give that spicy. But I also hear you because I do think that if you were to pick one running back that I would predict is the most likely to definitely finish inside the top 5, I feel confident. Like Nick Chubb's that guy for me.
Right. And it doesn't matter which format. I was, people are always like, oh, it's PPR, no Chubb. No. And then you look and I'm like, he does catch passes. Not as much as, McCaffrey or Eckler, but he is involved in the passing game more than people realize. So, yeah. And he's the best pure runner in the NFL. That's his moniker. So
he is phenomenal. Okay. So Hef on Discord. Hi, Hef says that Marvin Mims finishes as a top 20 wide receiver. So rookie Marvin Mims, Denver Broncos, had a phenomenal preseason game the other day. Top 20 wide receiver. I think that's a flamethrower take. I think that's top 20 is pretty high. What do you think?
So, hold on a second. I'm about to cough. Give me one.
You can cough. That's all right. Coughing is okay. Marvin Mims, though, rookie, has an opportunity with Jerry Jeudy. It's going to be interesting.
I like Mims. I wish he was on a different team. And not because, so opportunity-wise, he's in a great spot, right? Unfortunately, Jerry Jeudy does have a hamstring issue, which those tend to linger. And Mims has proven himself well. Tim Patrick is gone. Not gone, but he's out for the season. KJ Hamler, I think, is still hurt. So he really, he was already looking at wide receiver 3 territory, and now he's looking at wide receiver 2 on that team. The problem is Russell Wilson, and the problem is that offense in general. They're just, we all hope, of course, they take a step forward. But so far, with Sean Payton, the chances are there. But even in limited preseason stuff, I don't know. Russell Wilson might be, I don't want to say done, but so that's the only reason that I don't think he can be in wide. What is it, 20? 20? What is that?
Top 20's high. Top 20's high.
I think Mims could possibly end up as a wide receiver 3, and that's still spicy-ish because, but top 20 is that's a settle down for me.
Yeah, it's a settle down for me. I call it a flamethrower taking a settle down, although I do like Mims. I am interested in it.
Yeah.
Mason Miller wants to roast me a little for calling Dameon Pierce a bust. I don't remember calling Dameon Pierce a bust, although I have said that I don't like Dameon Pierce at ADP. So that might be it. That I think
I wrote him up as a bust, but he didn't put me down there, so I'm going to act like I didn't say it. But
but I'll take that from you, Mason. Thank you very much. I'll take that. I did say that he's not valuable at ADP, and he does look really good against the Saints the other night. So it's I might be wrong there. It's going to be very interesting. I'm rooting for Dameon Pierce, though. I'm rooting for that offense. I like Devin Singletary, CJ Stroud. Should be a lot of fun. Thank you very much for dropping into the chat. Always happy to hear any of my takes thrown back in my face. Let's hear. So Water Story 112 on Discord. 49ers and Ravens both get bye weeks in the playoffs. So that means they both finish as the 1 seeds this offseason. I think that's a tepid water take. What do you think, Jen? The 49ers were 1 game back from that.
Yeah, 49ers I see more than the Ravens.
Yeah, Ravens were 4 games back. So
yeah, and yes, they have a clear. I can see them finishing, like you said, more than 4 games back, but I just don't know that they have a better record than say the Chiefs or say the Bills, or I'm not sure. 49ers I can see possibly being there. I say, I give it a I give it like a 2.5, and I give it a I hear you, but maybe not.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Let's give the 49ers a tepid water, and we'll give the
Right.
Ravens a scorching hot. So it will land on spicy.
There you go.
That makes perfect sense. All right, so let's see here. Let's see. Nick MHC on Discord says the Eagles all underperformed their ADP due to Super Bowl loser hangover. So Super Bowl hangover is something I subscribe to, so I get where that's coming from, but that Eagles offense looks really good. So I'm going to call that a scorching hot take, and I'm going to say settle down, because I think to say all of them underperform is a lot, because that's Jalen Hurts and DeVonta Smith and Dallas Goedert. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think that. It could be the running back situation could be, right? Rashad Penny, DeAndre Swift, those guys can underperform. Maybe one of the receiver. I don't know. Goddard could possibly underperform just because there's a lot going on there. But as a whole, they're not. All the pieces are not going to underperform at their ADP. They just can't. They're yeah. I think that's a settle down from me.
All right. So we've got two more.
Okay.
Well, we've got three more. One is Dotson over McLaurin from Ryan Noonan. Appreciate that from Ryan, but that came in before McLaurin got his turf toe. So I'm going to kind of because that's not as spicy now that McLaurin's out.
Right.
So,
it was spicy prior, but yeah,
definitely. So thank you very much for that, Ryan. Our friend Justin Edwards says Jordan Love finishes higher than Aaron Rodgers did last year. I think that's kind of tepid water, because Rodgers was the QB 13 in overall points last year. I think Jordan Love could finish higher than that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he can. I don't know if he will, but there's potential for him to. Yeah,
I could see that. I hear you, Justin. I hear you. And our friend Brett Luskin said AJ Dillon outscores Aaron Jones in fantasy. That one's a little spicier. What do you think of that, Jen?
I hope not. I've been drafting Aaron Jones everywhere because he's so cheap. I can't subscribe to that. No.
No, yeah,
I'm not even going to give a reason. No.
I just think Aaron Jones is going to keep at least catching passes, and that's going to put him above Dillon at least. So Jones had 219 fantasy points last year in half PPR. Dillon was at 153. That's 12.9 per game, 9 per game. That's almost 4 points per game that he'd have to make up there. So not there. So Mr. Scamper says real quick, Mr. Scamper says the Panthers will have a top 24 wide receiver, but he doesn't know who it is, which makes perfect sense to me. I don't know. I think they're going to have lots of weeks where one of their wide receivers is top 24 in the week. I don't know about end of season. What do you think, Jen?
I'm going to be honest. I wasn't listening to you because I was reading this kicker question. Something about the Panthers, right? I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So I was saying I'm going to say settle down on one of the receivers finishing the season top 24. But I do think in any given week you'll have Panther receivers finish in the top 24.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's going to be a tough, because Thielen, we had put him out to pasture, but he has proven that we shouldn't do that because he had a pretty good preseason. Mm-hmm. And Mingo is exciting and interesting. So I feel like they could alternate. Thielen may end up doing his little touchdown vulture thing and sneak in there just on touchdown dependency alone. But it's going to be tough to figure out from week to week. I feel like the Panthers wide receivers are a perfect better and best ball situation.
Okay. I like that. But it makes perfect sense to me. And I'm just rooting for Jonathan Mingo. I just hope it works out.
Yeah.
Mr. Trey Serocinco has a kicker question for you. Let's go ahead and answer that kicker question, Jen.
I was reading it, and I'm sorry. I completely was not listening.
Hey, look, you can't bring up kickers around Jen and expect her to pay attention to anything else.
I was reading. Okay, so he picked up Bass. I'm sorry. Yeah, it is Mr., so it is a he. I don't want to assume. I picked up Bass and Zerline in my 2 leagues. What are your thoughts? Do you have any sleepers? Bass, I always love Bass. Zerline, I don't know. I don't love Zerline. I think he's fine. I think he'll be fine. I stream kickers, as you guys know, so I don't really hang on to one for the whole season. So, and then as far as sleepers go, there's plenty based on, I can tell you week 1 who I like, but for the season itself, I think they're both fine. He's Greg the Leg for a reason. So I think you're fine. I would just stick with those 2 for now, and then you can kind of play the matchups as you go. I drafted Greg Joseph last night just because I like Minnesota's first matchup at home. I think they play Indy in the Dome, so at home. So I picked him up there. But I like my only real thought, and just as much as people want to draft Jake Elliott, just don't do it. Like the research has shown over the years, you want to do it because you want a piece of that Philly offense, and they just don't kick field goals. So he's the only guy of the top teams that I would say no. But like, for example, Buffalo, like Bass is fine. And then the Jets, if they're top 5, as we talked about earlier, then Zerline will be fine there.
Excellent. Let's answer Christian Nova's question real quick. They have the 10th pick in a 10-man half PPR. Curious who we'd look at for 10th and 11th overall picks. First off, I definitely go to 4for4.com and read all the perfect draft articles. I think I actually wrote one 10th in a 10-team half PPR league. I think I wrote that one. And I would just say pick your 2 favorite receivers. I just AJ Brown, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, whoever you like. So.
Amon-Ra, CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, Garrett Wilson, like 2 of those, and I think you're golden.
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
So, whatever works out. So Jen, do you want to quickly say what your hot take was before we go? We're definitely out of time here, but I want to hear it.
we never did our own.
No, we didn't.
All right, I'll go quickly. Cole Turner, and for those of you who don't know who he is, he's a tight end for the Washington Commanders. I'm going, he's, top 15. And Brandon made fun of me and said that was not a spicy take, but it is a spicy take because Logan Thomas is technically the starter, but he is out right now with a calf injury. He has been practicing, but he hasn't played a full season since 2020. He's 32 years old. Cole Turner, he has the Greg Dulcich hair. I don't know if you've noticed. He has the same.
Well, I'm in now. Now I'm in.
He has the same hair. And he's been the starter all the way through the preseason. He's had 10 catches for 74 yards in the 3 contests, and you got Eric Bieniemy, who loves himself an elite tight end. So let's go, Cole Turner. That's my take. Top 15.
Excellent. Sean Lopano talked about Drake London finishing top 20. We addressed Drake London at the top of the hour. Long story short, we like that. I hear you. I think that's very, very fair. And Jed, when I initially saw that, I will be honest, I very much forgot that Logan Thomas existed. And now that I remember that Logan Thomas existed, I humbly apologize. Throw myself before you.
Got some spice. A little.
I'm going to call it scorching hot.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. What are you bringing to the table here with your take?
I had to stay on brand. And just because all I've talked about for like 3 months is how much George Pickens is going to be great. So I'm going to say he's going to be a top 5 fantasy wide receiver. So top 5 fantasy wide receiver. And next year he's going to be that guy that everyone's drafting along with where CeeDee Lamb and Stephon Diggs are next year.
All right. And I loved George Pickens. I loved George Pickens before you even knew who George Pickens was.
That's absolutely true.
Because I watched him in college. However, top 5 is spice. I mean, that is like habanero, Scotch bonnet. That's up there, man. I don't know on the Scoville ranking what that is, but it's a lot. I would love to see it, but top 10 I'll give you maybe, but 5 is that's up there, and that's with
Top 10 didn't feel spicy enough.
I hear you. I mean,
it felt too reasonable.
I understand that you went for the dramatic spice effect, and I understand that you probably don't really believe that he's going to be a top 5.
I do wish.
Okay, ish. All right.
I think a Jahmyr Chase 2021 season is within realm for him. I think where Chase was the wide receiver 4 that year. I think he's going to get big plays, and I think that's going to crush. I mean, the guy can.
I would love to see it. Nothing more.
I love it. So we're woefully out of time here. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Ted. Thank you to everybody who joined us in the chat, everybody who sent us questions on YouTube and Twitter and everything. We love you all and appreciate you. Next week, we start our weekly streaming podcast. Yes. Going to be Jen and Brandon still all season long.
Just the 2 of us.
That's right. But we're shifting to Tuesday nights at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to go a little early and a day later. That way we can cover streaming options and who to pick up. So we're going to start that next week. So come join us every Tuesday during the season live on the 4for4 YouTube channel. Discuss streamers that'll get you through your fantasy season. You can follow us on Twitter at Jen Akins NFL and at 2guysbrandon. Thanks so much for checking us out and have a great day.
Spicy.